My name is Luke. I work for AccuFi, and I am the lead designer and engineer for Tess, our tax equity partnership spreadsheet model. Tess is fast, accurate, and easy to use, and we're really excited about it. So I'm making videos to share it with everyone and help you to get more out of it when you use it. This video will be about how to run Tess's different solvers and how they all work. We're going to go through some examples of how to solve for different things inside of Tess. So without any further delay, let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is the run button. The question for what does the run button do? How's it different from solve for? That's a question I get pretty often. So what run does is it takes all the inputs that Tess has and it evaluates them and just tells you the answer. It doesn't target anything. It doesn't solve for anything. It just runs one time and shows you what the answer is. At this point, I want to point out that Tess has a uniquely fast and powerful solving algorithm inside of it. And it's very convenient to run it because there's one button you have to click that's on all the tabs. So if I go to other Tess tabs, you can see there's always going to be a run button here for us to click. So you can run it from anywhere. You don't have to go to some special place in the workbook and look at some cells and click a bunch of different buttons and do all these different things. There's just the one button. You can click it from anywhere. You click it and it'll work. Right now, the model's in a state where it doesn't need to be run because we have this model OK indicator. So let's change something so that when we run it, something interesting happens. So I'm going to go to my scenarios tab. I already have a project model in here. I have a video where I show what you need to do to put in a project model. So if you haven't done it yet, I recommend you go check out that video. Okay, so I'm on the scenarios tab. I'm going to change this to scenario 2, which is P75. P75 is a lower production case, so I should get less revenue, and I should see that I need to rerun the model. So Tess can detect when the inputs have changed and the partnership solution, the answer that it got, is no longer valid for the input set that it has. Unfortunately, I can't stop Excel from showing you the values that it shows you, even though they're not valid, but I can put this indicator in every cell, or sorry, in every tab, so that you can always know, like, oh, these answers it's giving me may not be quite right. I need to rerun the model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button and we're going to watch it run. Okay, that's it. It's done. And now after that, this turns green because everything's working. The answer that we have matches our inputs. We're all good. And I'm just running this on my laptop, and as you can see, it's pretty quick. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Okay, so that's what it means to run it. Let's talk about what solving is. So we have the solve for button here. Solving it does run. It kind of does the same thing as the run button, but will also target some particular thing that you want. In specifically, it will change some value to target some result that you're looking for. So the first one I'm going to do is the investor equity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this back. I'm going to set this back to the P50 scenario. Okay. And then I'm going to, okay, everything updated. Set it back to P50, and I'm going to now solve for an equity split to hit a particular target. So if I click investor equity, I get these options. So I have a target IRR here, and I have a set flip date. So this is the flip date I expect. It's already using that flip date, so we're good on that. And then the way Tess's solver works, you need to give it a max and a min for it to solve for. So I think that the required split is going to be somewhere between 50% and 30%. So let's just hit the button, see if it works. Okay, so Tess is going to try different splits, see what the resulting IRR is, and give us our answer. And there you go. Just like that, we got our 38%. So this is a very specific number, but that's okay. It works. We got our flip IRR we asked for. So we asked for 6.5%, we got it, and then we got our equity split to go with. So it's pretty cool. That's how the equity split solver works. Let's have a look now at the flip date solver. So you can see this is our other option. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to say, okay, we solved for some equity for P50. Let's set to P75, and we'll see if we'll see what that does to our requirement of 6.5%. So I set to P75. I'm just going to run it here just so we can see what we get. Okay, so now our flipper IRR is lower because P75 generating less power, selling less power, making less revenue for the same expenses. We're going to get a lower return on our investment. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find a new flip date for which we're going to get 6.5%. So let's try that. So I'm going to do solve for flip date, and now we're going to target 6.5%. And what it's going to do is it's going to find the date that gets us to that value for our flip IRR. And what it'll do is it'll try a bunch of dates. It'll chunk through the model, trying dates and seeing which one is going to nail our IRR. And as it does this, okay, so it's found the date and now it's prorating. So this proration feature, by default, what it will do is it will, when it finds the month, it will then prorate the splits of cash and TI in that month to exactly nail this IRR. So we've exactly nailed our 6.5% IRR, and we have our flip date, our new flip date. So it was January before, and in this downside case, it's worse than the previous case. Our flip date is in September, so it's been pushed out by 8 months. So that's how the flip date solver works. Okay, so now I'm really excited to show you this one because this solver is where things really get interesting. It's common for us to get requests at AccuFi like where sponsors in particular, are interested to know the answers to questions like, okay, let's say I want to target my return, but solve for what PPA price gets me to a particular return. It's kind of interesting, right? So it's like what I don't know what PPA price I need, but I know I want to get a certain return, and I want to know what PPA price gets me there. So let's have a look at how to do that, and that is going to be in the custom solver. The custom solver, this is really modeled after Excel's goal seek, which you may have used before. You define a set cell, which is a cell that is going to be changed. Or sorry, this is the cell that's going to be targeted. I got it backwards. The set cell, this is what we're going to target, and then we enter a value that we're going to wish that set cell gets set to, and then we give it a changing cell. So we're going to change this cell to get this other one to a particular target value, right? Excel's goal seek, what it does between guesses and checks is it calculates the workbook. But unfortunately for us, Tess, we need to run the whole Tess solver in between. So instead of using the built-in goal seek, we have this nice feature built into Tess to help you do it. Okay, so let's define these set cells. So I think they actually might already be defined, but I'll show you how that works. So what I have here is our scenario is going to be, we want to find a PPA price that gets our full term pre-tax IRR to a certain value, to some target. And what I've done is I've defined this as a named range. So what you can do is you can go into this box and type in a name. And actually, since this one already has one, let's define one here. Let's do the buyout pre-tax IRR. So let's say we're going to target that. So what we'll do is we'll make this a named range, and by clicking in this box, highlighting it, and typing buyout pre-tax. Okay, so that makes a named range for this cell, and this buyout pre-tax IRR will now show up when we go to the custom solver. There's also already a named range for the PPA price, so that's on the scenarios tab. It is right, where did it go? Price. It's right here. So we already have a PPA price set here, and I think I did that previously, or maybe it even came in with the project model. Okay, so let's give this a try. So I'm going to do solve for custom set cell buyout pre-tax IRR, and let's say we want it to be 11%. That's just what we're looking for today. And by changing cell PPA price. So Tess is going to change the PPA price and then check the buyout pre-tax IRR and do that until it gets it to 11%. And the solve function, so in between guesses and checks, you can have it just run the partnership. So this is just same thing as clicking the run button, but you can also solve for flip date or solve for an investor equity in between. And these will use the default settings that actually these settings are on the partnership settings tab. We can go look at that if you like. But that's what it's going to do in between. So you can do kind of sophisticated solves here, which is kind of cool. Okay, so our PPA price is currently set to 15, I saw, and our value here, well, our current IRR is lower. So we know that the price is going to have to be higher. We're going to have to make a little more money here to get a higher return. So I'm going to make the maximum, let's try 30. Let's make the minimum 15 because that's close. Okay, so now that I've filled everything out, let's click solve, see what happens. And it'll do its guesses and it will try to home in on a value. Oh, it looks like it found one. Success! Result found 25.09. Okay, so as requested, we got our buyout pre-tax IRR to exactly 11%. And if we go to the scenarios tab, we can see here's our PPA price. So this is some number that the solver found, right? Like it nailed whatever this number is to get that desired IRR. So that's how the custom solver works. It's very powerful. You can define named ranges wherever you want, use any combination you want, kind of just like the goal seek. But instead of doing a plain goal seek, you're using both Tess's whole partnership solver, and you're using the advanced algorithm that Tess has built in, which is really a lot more sophisticated than the one that's in GoalSeek. So it'll home in on the target faster than GoalSeek would, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I hope that this video has been helpful to you, and thank you, and I appreciate your time in watching it.